Now available in paperback and Kindle, Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Learn how to avoid predatory females like Instagram models and e-girls in their virtual con games with Stop Simping in Cyberspace. Get your copy of Stop Simping in Cyberspace in paperback and Kindle today. When simps like Will Smith get involved with women like Jada Pinkett, they are not in love with that woman. No, they are in love with what they imagine that woman to be, and because they are in love with what they imagine that woman to be, they oftentimes get disappointed when they have to deal with reality. Now, in my book, Stop Simpin', Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance, and The Man Crisis, I talk about the concept of a rose-colored world. Now, this rose-colored world looks like our world. However, everything in that world, from the simp's perspective, is completely distorted. And because everything is completely distorted, the simp cannot see what is actually there, and because they can't see what's actually there, they cannot make an objective assessment about a person's character and see who they really are. Because when it comes down to the simp, what they want to do is see what they want to see, not see what's actually there. And that's one of the big problems with most of your simps. When they get involved with women, they see what they want to see, and they refuse to see what they don't want to see. And that because they tune out all of the things that the person is saying that they don't want to hear, and they don't want to see the things that are negative about a person's character, this is why the simp winds up falling into a place where they get set up to get played. Now, your Will Smith is a textbook example of this. He was living inside of that rose-colored world, and in that rose-colored world where he was supposedly this high-value big star, he wanted to get and have a relationship with Jada Pinkett. Now, your Jada Pinkett clearly was not interested in your Will Smith from day one, and any objective man who could look at a woman's actions could clearly see that this woman was not acting in a way that showed she was interested in him. Because one of the big problems with the simp is that because he's in his rose-colored world, he gets fixated on a person, and as he gets fixated on a person, he goes out here thinking that he has to chase the person to show the person how valuable he is. And that's the big mistake with the simp, because the simp from this place is coming from a position of weakness, because if a man has to prove that he is valuable to a woman, what he's doing is showing how little value he has in himself. But your simp, because he's in his rose-colored world and he wants to make his fantasies reality, he cannot see how he's devaluing himself, and he cannot see how he is not making it where he was showing that this is something that is good for him. He's showing how he's in a situation where he's going to make things worse for himself. Unfortunately, because he has the rose-colored glasses on, all he sees is what he wants, and he wants to use different tactics to try to get what he wants, not understanding that this is just not good for him, because a healthy man understands if a woman is interested in him, he doesn't really have to do anything. She will go out here and be making a lot of the moves because she wants to show that she wants to cooperate with this man, and she wants to help him work towards whatever endeavors he's trying to do. So a guy out here who is healthy, he's looking at the woman's actions and seeing that if she's interested, he doesn't really have to do much except maybe go catch her nonverbal cue, like the look that she invites him in with, and then after he catches the nonverbal cue or the gesture, he then makes his move, and then they start working together, and usually she's more eager to do more for him than he has to. But with the simp, he's thinking he has to go out here and make all of these gestures, and he's thinking that all of these gestures will earn him this woman's respect. Unfortunately, a man, when he's out here trying to so-called earn a woman's respect, again, he's coming from a position of weakness. And when you come from a position of weakness, a woman does not see you as anybody that she needs to respect. And in many of these cases, what a woman will do is start pulling crap tests to see what she can get away with. And when she goes out here and pulls these crap tests, she wants to see how many hoops you're going to go through to get her attention. And this just shows her that you are not somebody she will ever need to respect or ever need to regard. But the simp thinks that he's going out here being a gallant knight, and he's going out here and fighting to show how honorable he is. But in actuality, he's a laughingstock in the real world, and he's nobody she's taking seriously, because she sees him as weak from minute one, and she sees him as weak from minute one because he's following behind her and not going out here and leading and being on his purpose. Because what makes a man attractive to a woman is being focused on his goals, focused on his purpose. And when she sees him focused on what he's going to do, this is something that she admires in that man. And this is what makes her want to follow the lead of that man. But the simp, he doesn't understand these concepts because he's living in his rose-colored world, and he's thinking that he can make a woman into the ideal he's imagined himself to create for her. But the problem is she never entered into that covert contract with him, and he's always disappointed because he's thinking that, oh, if she's in my life, I can make her into this ideal that I've constructed. Unfortunately, real people are not anything like he imagined, because real people have flaws, real people have their own thoughts, real people have their own issues, and real people cannot be shaped and molded into the person that you want. Yes, you can teach a woman about different things, and you can teach her values that you find that will help you build your family. Yes, you can teach those things, but with this simp, what he wants to do is he basically wants to turn a real person into his fantasy, and that's just not possible. It is not possible to turn a person in real life into what you imagine, and that's why many simps wind up very frustrated as related to their relationships, because they have an image in their head of what this person is supposed to be like in their mind, and they're trying to transform this woman into this person that they have imagined in their minds. For example, with your Will Smith, he saw your Jada Pinkett Smith out here, and he saw what he wanted her to imagine her to be. He imagined that she would make a wife for his children. He imagined that she would be a good mother. But in actuality, your Jada Pinkett was nothing more than a hood rat, and this hood rat could not be changed into a wife because she was not wife material from minute one. Unfortunately, your Will Smith could not see this because he was living in the rose-colored world, and he thought that your Jada Pinkett was like somebody he could go out here and shape and mold into the person he wanted. But there was no shaping and molding this person because she was already set in her ways from the extremely dysfunctional lifestyle that she's been living from day one. So she's already dysfunctional from day one, and you're not going to be able to change her into this imagined fantasy that you have, because she already comes with her own set of values, her own set of ideas, and even worse, due to the men she has been with, like a Tupac Shakur, those men have already had sex with this woman. They have already implanted their DNA inside of her. They have already bonded with her spiritually, and they already have connections with her. So there is no way of changing this woman into something different because she is what she is. And this is something many of your simps have a hard time understanding because they have this image in their head of what this woman is, and they want to make that image become reality. Unfortunately, many of these guys, they wind up in their rose-colored worlds, and what makes them fall completely apart is when they finally have to confront reality. When they have to confront reality, that's when many of these men start to turn into men in crisis like Will Smith, because they finally get a picture of who this truly is, and that picture is something that deeply disappoints them, because what disappoints them is that they invested all of their feelings into that covert contract with that woman, and as they've invested all of their feelings into that covert contract, they're expecting this woman to change into this ideal that they've created. And while they have dressed up the outside in expensive clothes or given this woman a nice home, she's still the same on the inside. And as she's the same on the inside, what she is doing, because she does not respect him, is start to express her contempt for him. And as she expresses her contempt for him, she starts to show how little respect she has for him, because basically what these women are doing is settling for this guy, and they're settling for this guy because they don't have any other prospects outside of the simp as related to resources, because your Jada Pinkett basically picked your Will Smith based on his resources, and she stepped into his rose-colored world so she could receive the benefits from his resources. Since your Tupac wound up passing away, she could not go and stay with him and be a part of his social circle and get access to his resources. So she got on Will Smith's resources, and she wanted to live the high life on his resources. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases with these type of female predators, they get really frustrated with these kind of guys because they want to be themselves, but they can't be themselves because this guy keeps trying to turn them into what they imagine them into. And in order to receive the benefits, they have to continue trying to live in this fantasy world. But the whole thing is that fantasy world becomes more and more frustrating to deal with, because living in a world where everything is distorted, where everything is completely unreal, this gets to be very grating for many of these female predators, because you're living in a world with a guy who basically does not see you as a person, and because they don't see you as a person, they start to objectify you and they treat you all kinds of ways. And this is where they both get frustrated with each other, and their relationship starts to deteriorate overall. So one of the big problems, again, with the simp is that, again, he can't deal with reality. And because he can't deal with reality, this is where he has problems with women, because he doesn't understand women are as is. As you find them is how they will be. And what you see right there in front of you from minute one, that's what you're going to get 5 years from now. That's what you're going to get 10 years from now. That's what you're going to get 20 years from now. That's not going to change. What you see right here as related to that woman is who she is. And if you don't want to have a relationship with who she is, then you need to leave her alone. There is no changing a person. There is no making a person to fit into your world. Either they want to be there because they want to be there and they want to learn from you as a head and a leader, or they don't belong there at all. The big problem with most of your simps is they try to force things to work, and I talk about this in my book, Stop Simping, Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance. When things don't work, the simp tries to force them to work, unfortunately, as he's trying to force square pegs into round holes with people, what happens is that one of those people eventually breaks, and the person who usually breaks is the simp. And the simp usually breaks because in his mind he keeps trying to do the exact same things and he's expecting a different result. Now, the definition of this in the real world is called insanity. Unfortunately, doing the same thing and expecting a different result for a simp is what is perceived to be normal. And when he goes out here and keeps trying to do the exact same things and hoping for the relationship to change, the only thing that winds up breaking is his mind, because he cannot deal with the concept of reality. And because he cannot deal with the concept of reality, this is why many of these men go from becoming frustrated and angry to going out here and becoming violent. And they become violent because their rose-colored reality starts to get shattered. And once that rose-colored reality gets shattered and they have to see real people, they don't know how to process dealing with real people. They don't know how to navigate their emotions as related to real people. They don't know how to work in a world of real people. And whenever they have to confront real people, these beta males explode in rage, and then they participate in a spectrum of the violent behaviors, like you saw Will Smith participate with Chris Rock at the Oscars, because he could not cope with the reality that as related to his wife, and he kept trying to force that reality on his wife and trying to be this good husband, but that didn't really work because his problem was he was living in a rose-colored world, and he was trying to continue to force and shoehorn a relationship that wasn't working. Now, most normal people, when they see a relationship isn't working, they just say, look, I need to cut my losses and leave, because they understand investing more emotions into somebody who doesn't love you is only going to hurt yourself. But a simp, he'll continue investing more and more emotions, hoping that he will get love reciprocated back to him. But this person has already expressed contempt towards him. So the relationship is not going to change, and it's only going to further deteriorate. But he can't see that in the rose-colored world because he doesn't see people as people. No, he sees them as constructs in his own imagined world. And because he sees people as constructs in his imagined world, he cannot deal with people's real feelings. He cannot deal with people's real emotions. He cannot deal with people having conflict with him. And that's what makes him a very difficult person to deal with, because he can't deal with reality. And this is a problem with many of your simps. They just don't want to come out of the rose-colored world into reality, and they'd rather try to go out here and deny reality, and they want to deny the reality as related to the women that they get involved with, and they really want to deny it because they want to have that fantasy come to life. But you cannot make a fantasy come to life with people. No, that's the only place that happens is Hollywood, and everybody knows everything there is fake, and that's what happens with the simp. He winds up in a fake world, and when reality comes crashing down, he can't cope with reality, and when he can't cope with reality, that's when he falls apart as a person. So many of your simps out here, you have to understand, these men aren't living in reality. They're not living in the real world. Yes, they are out here and they see people, but they don't see people the same way you or I see people. No, we see real people. We see who they are. We judge them by the content of their character and their actions. We see what's actually there, and we accept what's actually there. But your simp can't accept reality, and that's what makes him a very dangerous person to be involved with, because when things don't work for him in the real world, that's when he wants to destroy the world around him. So many of your simps, whenever they are confronted with reality, that's when their minds start falling apart, and that's when they want to go out here and participate in the spectrum of violent behaviors because they can't deal with reality. But the only way to function in this world is to accept what's actually there, accept who is right in front of you, accept the reality of the world in front of you, and accept what is actually happening in observable reality, because to not accept what's in observable reality is insanity, and a simp is already on the steps to becoming crazy because he doesn't want to accept what's really there as related to the people he gets involved with. Now, to learn more about the simp paradigm and how to break out of the simp paradigm, you can pick up my book Stop Simping: Why Men Don't Need Finance to Get Romance on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to learn more about breaking free of the simp paradigm on the job, you can pick up my book Stop Simping in the Workplace. And if you want to learn how to avoid female online predators, you can pick up my book Stop Simping in Cyberspace. And if you want to learn what really makes these men deeply troubled, you can pick up my book The Man Crisis on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find it on Smashwares, the iBookstore, and Google Play. And if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, and my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available for the first time on Google Play, The Man Crisis. Learn why so many men are falling apart in an increasingly gynocentric world in The Man Crisis. Get your copy on Google Play today.